This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. U.S. stocks are climbing today after the president said that China wants to make a trade deal happen. The president spoke in France at the end of the Group of Seven summit. Heather Sells joins us now with more on that. Heather, some good news today?
Well, Mark, as you know, there has been growing concern in recent weeks about slowing global economic growth and how that is affecting the U.S. The U.S.-China trade war is a big part of that, and that's creating volatility in the stock markets. The U.S.-China conflict escalated on Friday when China announced new tariffs on $75 billion worth of U.S. goods. The president retaliated on Twitter, promising increased tariffs for China. But today in France, he sounded optimistic, saying that the Chinese told U.S. trade negotiators late Sunday that they do want to get back to the table.
I think they want to make a deal. I'm not sure they have a choice. And I don't say that as a threat. I don't think they have a choice.
The reason the president said the Chinese economy is vulnerable and that they need to end the trade war.
China has taken a very hard hit over the last number of months. You know, they've lost 3 million jobs. It'll soon be much more than 3 million jobs. Their chain is breaking. The chain is breaking up like nobody's seen before. And once that happens, it's very hard to put it back together. You understand? I think they very much want to make a deal. And the longer they wait, the harder it is to put it back.
The president in France and big tech companies today that do a lot of business with China rose the most. Apple in particular rose 1.7%. In other summit news, the president was asked about climate change, and he responded by noting that the U.S. is the #1 energy producer and talked especially about liquid natural gas. He said that it's being sought all over the world and said, quote, "I'm not going to lose that wealth on dreams on windmills."
And Heather, I understand that there was also talk about the president meeting with Iran.
Yes, French President Emmanuel Macron said that he hopes that Trump and the Iranian president will meet in the coming weeks to work out the nuclear standoff. The president said that he's open to that, but he also threatened that if Iran doesn't agree to, quote, being a good player, it will be met with very violent force. Mark, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Heather, for that report. Things in the Middle East are heating up as Israel says they stopped an attack from Iranian forces Sunday. The Israeli Defense Force said their Iron Dome missile defense system shot down 2 of 3 missiles near the Gaza border. Last week, U.S. officials confirmed Israel has recently expanded its war against Iran's military expansion by hitting Iranian targets inside Iraq. Meanwhile, the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon vowed to retaliate against Israel's recent airstrikes inside Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would not tolerate Iranian attacks from any country in the region.
If someone is coming to kill you, hurry and kill him. In a complex effort by the defense establishment, we have uncovered that Iran's Quds force sent a special unit of Shiite activists to Syria to kill Israelis in the Golan via explosives. I want to emphasize this is Iran's initiative, it is Iran's command, and it is an Iranian mission.
Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now live from Israel. Chris, why is it significant that Israel would hit Iranian targets inside Iraq?
Well, Mark, what it means is that the war between Israel and Iran has really spread throughout the region. Here's reflected in one of the newspapers today. Israeli-Iranian front widens with attacks in Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. And it's not just Iraq, Lebanon. Over the weekend, there were attacks in the Bekaa Valley and actually in Beirut against some of the Hezbollah strongholds. So it means it sends a signal to Iran that Israel is willing to go anywhere, whenever they need to hit back against Iran. Now, in Iraq, it gets a little more complicated, Mark, because actually have U.S. troops there. And the Iraqi government really can't respond directly at Israel, but they can try to do that against U.S. troops there. And also some of the Shiite Iranian militias, they really could target U.S. interests there in Iraq itself.
Could we be seeing the possibility of a wider war in the Middle East?
You know, it's interesting, Mark. I've had conversations with two Israelis today, and it's really just a matter of conversation, the possibility of a wider war. In fact, one of those Israelis made a bet with his coworker and said that things are going to be quiet till October 31st. There's really no logical reason why any of the actors here, Hezbollah, Israel, or Iran, really want to get into a war. It really doesn't serve their interest. However, here in the Middle East, things always go logic. It was a Middle East expert who told me that living in the kingdom of certain. What meant by that is really one incident where U.S. troops maybe get involved, or Israeli civilians or soldiers get involved or killed in something like that, really could spark a wider war. And we saw that back in the 2006 Second Lebanon War. There was an attack on an Israeli convoy on the northern border. It really spread to a war that lasted 34 days. So it is a possibility, but I don't expect one just yet.
Let's talk big picture now, Chris. What are the larger goals of the Iranian regime?
It's a good question, Mark, because I think people need to understand the larger strategic goals of Iran. One of those is they really want to have a hegemony. They want to dominate the Middle East. They want to dominate not only Israel, but many of the Sunni Arab nations. They want to build a land bridge from Tehran all the way to the Mediterranean. That's why they're building infrastructure, or trying to, inside Syria and Iraq. Eventually, they want to destroy Israel. That's quite obvious about what they want to do. And then they have a goal to export their Iranian revolution, that's 40 years old now, to the whole world. And that means the little Satan Israel, the big Satan the United States, standing in their way. That's why they're attacking Israel and or U.S. interests.
Talk about the two big events coming up next month in Israel, the elections and possibly the unveiling of the Israeli-Palestinian peace plan.
That's right. September is going to be a big day here a big month here in Israel. September 17th, that's when elections are coming. Many people wonder if it's going to be like a deja vu all over again, because back in April, there was an inability for Prime Minister Netanyahu to actually form a government. The electorate is really split, pretty much like it was in April, so we'll see what happens. That's going to be a big thing. And then Netanyahu, for him, it's really a big election, because he is facing some stiff opposition in some ways, whether or not he could form a government. The other thing, the unveiling of the peace plan, we'll see what happens. It says the Trump administration says it's going to unveil it. And what they want to do is really have an economic plan for the Palestinians that's bottom up rather than top down. We'll see if that's going to work.
Okay, our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thanks for your time and your insights as always, Chris.
Thanks, Mark.
We'll have more on this story and others this evening on Faith Nation. You can watch it here on the CBN News Channel. In Hong Kong, police fired water cannons and tear gas into the massive crowds and for the first time used their guns. Firing a warning shot as the battle with police started to get out of control. It's the first time police have used live ammunition in 10 weeks of protests. This weekend, the violence ramped up. Police were out in force using a water cannon and launching tear gas to keep protesters at bay. Nearby, just across the border, Chinese troops, some dressed as civilians in handcuffs, apparently are getting ready to move in if Hong Kong police lose control. Today, leaders on both sides are calling for calm. Efforts to tackle the massive wildfires continue in the Amazon rainforest as global concern rises. Brazil's satellite monitoring agency has recorded more than 41,000 fires in the Amazon region so far this year, with more than half of those coming this month alone. Experts say most of the fires were set by farmers or ranchers clearing existing farmland. 7 nations, including the U.S., have sent reinforcements or are preparing to help Brazil battle the fires and repair the damage. A Colorado-based global supertanker plane was sent in to help ground crews in Bolivia. The plane holds about 19,000 gallons of water, which it drops on stretches of rainforest about a quarter mile at a time. Environmental activists across the world are crying out, saying the fires could have a lasting impact on the world and more needs to be done. The Amazon produces 6% of the world's oxygen. And another part of the world is hoping no natural disasters head their way. A tropical storm moving into the Caribbean Sea is on target for parts of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Dorian is expected to reach hurricane strength in the coming days, passing over the western half of Puerto Rico and dropping back down to a tropical storm before slamming into the island of Hispaniola. Forecasters say it's too early to tell if the storm will stay together long enough to affect the Bahamas or the U.S. coast. Coming up, how one cyber range is working to protect America's digital systems. And before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Introducing the CBN Bible from Cbn.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
Welcome back. America is using cyber warfare to carry out targeted attacks, and our country's enemies are trying to do the same against the U.S. CBN national security correspondent Eric Phillips shares the challenges of protecting our digital systems and what one cyber range is doing to help out.
When the FBI was formed in 1908, there were no cyber crimes because there was no cyber. Only over the last decade has the Bureau taken the potential of cyber attacks seriously. And now, it's a game of catch-up.
This is what a cyber attack looks like. A few keystrokes doing more damage than many physical crimes.
Today, it's really all about weaponizing very particular software with the specific goal of trying to extort money from you or take you out of business, just completely eliminate you.
Don Murdoch is with the Institute for Cybersecurity at Regent University in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Through real-life simulations on their cyber range, he trains people from military installations, Fortune 500 companies, and government agencies to become cyber defenders, those who can spot a cyber attack and stop it.
Once you understand how the computer systems work and how the networks work, then you can understand how to co-opt it or misuse it. And once you understand how to detect the difference, then you can learn what the attacker's doing, and then you can learn how to defend it and harden it and make it stronger.
Right now, the sheer number of cyber attacks is outpacing law enforcement's ability to investigate them.
We're probably 5 to 10 years behind in kind of
kind of stepping up to this challenge.
Arnold Bell spent 25 years at the FBI. Half of that time he worked in the cyber crimes division. When he joined the division, cybercrime was about 7 or 8 on the priority list. Now it's number 3, just behind terrorism and counterintelligence.
9/11 happens. Obviously, the shift obviously changes the terrorism as it should, and there's a huge focus there. But what's happened now with all the different breaches that you read about every week, it seems like, that has raised the profile of this crime type.
A delayed response, however, means working overtime to update technology, recruit talent, and train agents to investigate cyber attacks.
And the challenges with the Bureau is that, they're competing with private sector, they're competing with all the other federal agencies, and the government pay structure doesn't compete well with private sectors.
They need highly specialized talent that does not grow on trees.
But it is developed in places like this.
When people come to train to be a cyber defender, they're actually using real systems, generating real data, real network traffic. It's not simulated, it's not some 2-station lab. It's 15 to 20 network segments and 80 operating systems working together that looks like a small to a medium-sized business.
Murdoch trains defenders to look for system compromises and how to trace them back to the source, a necessary skill for anyone investigating a breach. For the FBI, it's a growing problem with more than 300 identified cyber terror groups worldwide, many of them backed by foreign governments.
Trying to get action and trying to get intelligence and trying to get information out of some of these countries where we don't have really strong connections is a big challenge.
A big challenge for an agency that wasn't even established for this.
The law enforcement is kind of thinking people commit crimes. Well, today, your crimes really can be 25,000 or 50,000 computers that may or may not be owned by an individual. So, leveraging all those computers on behalf of one attacker, that's a much bigger problem.
Murdoch says while much of what he teaches is sophisticated, some of it is just good old common sense security. He calls spear phishing the most common form of attack, and it happens through emails. He says if people would simply be more skeptical of the links they click, that alone would drastically reduce the number of attacks. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Still ahead, the latest faith-based film, Overcomer, is a hit at the box office. We talked with the cast about why they believed it would be all along.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
This is our nature as a country.
to make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Overcomer finished number 3 at the box office this weekend, bringing in more than $8 million. It's the latest faith film by Alex and Stephen Kendrick, who continue to stun Hollywood with their success. CBN's Ephraim Graham talked with them at their Atlanta premiere about why they believed Overcomer is their best work yet.
It seems like every 5 or 6 years I get to do a project that I act in.
This is my second time doing the coach thing.
Alex writes, directs, and stars in the Kendrick brothers' much-anticipated follow-up to War Room. This is Overcomer.
Oh, you ran at Franklin High last year.
Yes, sir.
Born on Valentine's Day. I'm sorry, Hannah, is that?
It's for my asthma.
You have asthma?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the story of a runner running a race. Why that particular storyline for this film?
It was 2011, and I was at one of my kids' cross-country events. I saw a lot of dads coaching their kids, speaking into them, affirming them, and then I remembered Paul in Scripture talking about how life and faith is sometimes like a race, and you want to finish well. You want to cross the line and finish well. And I saw that correlation. I was thinking, that's very interesting. Then it kind of went in the prayer incubator, and we did Courageous and War Room. And as we were praying about, Lord, what do you want us to do? That came back to mind, and the prompting to talk about identity.
Look, John, your identity will be tied to whatever you give your heart to. Doesn't sound like the Lord has first place.
Our culture wants to say your identity is what you feel or what culture says about you, maybe some status, job status, financial status. And all those things can change. So who are you when what you're known for is stripped away? Bolivia, there is no cross-country program.
What do you mean there's no program?
I had one girl show up and she's got asthma.
Oh, you mean Hannah Scott?
Yes.
Does she want to run?
Yes, but we can't allow that. How could she compete?
Best-selling author and Bible teacher Priscilla Shirer returns to the big screen to help tell this identity story. Here we sit. You've got 3 films under your belt now. Consider yourself an actress?
I guess it's hard at this point to say no, but it's still hard to internalize that, because I know I'm not trained in acting. And I so respect those who are, because now I know they're for real. It takes a lot of work to be good at that craft, so I have so much respect for the people who do it all the time.
We, of course, know you as a Bible teacher. If you could apply a Bible lesson to this film, what would it be?
A Bible, meaning like an illustration? Huh, that's a good... Listen! Got me over here thinking. A Bible lesson. The person in Scripture that comes to my mind when I think about identity, which is the crux of this film, is Gideon. And I think about Gideon because when you first meet him in Scripture, he is in a wine press threshing wheat. He's not supposed to be doing that. That's normally something you do out in the open, but he's hiding. So when we meet him, he is operating in fear and insecurity. God shows up and says to him, "You're a valiant warrior." He speaks truth to him even while he's in the process of behaving in opposition to the truth. And so this is how critical identity is, that we are not our behavior. And I love how God comes to Gideon and says, even while you're operating in a way that is incongruent with the truth, I've come to remind you who you are. That's what I'm hoping Overcomer does. that it just reminds people you are who God says you are.
You give some very inspirational speeches to your players about stepping up under pressure and going the extra mile.
Anna, getting faster. As always, Alex's brother Stephen is by his side for the making of this latest movie with a singular mission.
We feel like it's our part in being obedient to make the movie God's called us to make, and then you send it off into the world like your kid or something, and you just sit back and you watch what God does with it.
Is this the best movie you made to date?
I do believe Overcomer is the best movie in so many ways. It's the best shot, the best lighting, I would say the best acting in so many ways. The storyline has some neat twists and turns in it.
Twists, turns, and a few tears.
Something or someone will have first place in your heart. But when you find your identity in the one who created you, it'll change your whole perspective.
Powerful there. Well, up next, more on the amazing weekend in Southern California that saw thousands of people turn their lives over to Jesus.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
Thanks for staying with us. The three-night SoCal harvest saw 8,670 people give their lives to Christ over the weekend. Evangelist Greg Laurie said it was an amazing event with more than 100,000 people attending. Each night, praise and worship filled the Angel Stadium of Anaheim as people could be seen with tears in their eyes, worshiping and praying. It was the 30th year of the SoCal Harvest, one of the longest-running evangelistic events in the nation. People joined online from around the world and even watched right here on the CBN News Channel. That is wonderful to hear, and that's going to do it for this edition of Newswatch. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.